Good morning, everyone. Welcome to ICE Barcelona. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you, everyone, for stepping up this morning for me. Thank you, Owen and Tom, also for just setting up the framework here for what we're going to discuss today. I've been in the gaming business 25 years now. It's my 25th ICE, in fact. And I've been from executive running large casino operations, companies like Hoka Stars. I got to a point in my career about 7 or 8 years ago where clients were coming to me. I had a reputation for bringing sites number one globally and on a local market basis. Clients were telling me they weren't making money. I've never known a period in this business where you could not make money, okay? So when clients were coming to me, everyone was saying it's because of regulation, it's because of changing audience tastes, and I had a sneaking suspicion much more than that, and it was something to do with crime. When I started looking into marketplaces like Curacao, like Malta, these hubs where international operations are based, and many of which have led to illegal gambling sprawling all over the world, I realized that there was probably more to crime than anybody had given it credit for before. I went around the world looking for people who could help me identify and find a solution for how I understand what crime is, understand what it's doing in the online gaming industry, and fundamentally how much money it's making, and how much money it's stealing from you. Because all of that money is your money. It's the money that should be going to the legitimate licensed industry. As Erwin mentioned, it is your money. It's the money you're exclusively allowed to make as licensed operators. It's the money that other people are stealing from you. And let's be blunt about it. I don't look at this as black market. I don't look at this as grey market. When I set up Sec, there was a very clear mandate here. Legal versus illegal. The whole point of this is understand that licensed operators are there to provide an unalloyed river of good to the communities that they're based in when you run this business correctly. I often refer to what we call the iceberg marketplace. So there is no black or white. This is all to do with basically, we always focus on the part above the waterline, the kind of bright, white, shiny cap. That's the legal licensed industry. It's what the regulators look at, the media look at, and also the customers and audience look at too, because that's the brightest, shiniest kind of peak of what the industry is capable of. The problem is, it's afloat in a sea of criminality. And the issue we have there is, who polices all this stuff online? Because if it's the regulator's job alone, regulators are not set up to do that. If it's the police's job alone, they don't know where to begin. So where do you start? The only way you could start is by identifying, as Sec does, all of the legal stakeholder communities. It is all of our problems, okay, to deal with illegal gambling, because it's all our money. There is only one marketplace, to be clear, because we often use this phrase black market or legal market. There is one marketplace, okay? The online gaming marketplace in each specific jurisdiction. So that will be Belgium, the Netherlands, the UK, New Jersey. There is only one marketplace. The problem we have is there are two industries: a legal, licensed, compliant, and taxpayer one, and illegal, unlicensed, and, let's face it, criminal industry that's also operating. So this is not just people, I want here just kind of spoil people's fun. I get death threats every month for KL at Sec because of what we're saying as a company and how we try to only help the legal stakeholder community. Why do we get those threats? Because we're pointing out that you people aren't grey market. You people may be licensed somewhere, but you're not licensed for the jurisdiction you're taking revenue from. The point of that is, you are a thief. You are criminals because you're stealing money and you have no license to take that money from those jurisdictions. What does Sec focus on? We focus on what we call the 8 ecosystem essentials, okay? Starting at the top, search, peer-to-peer communications, websites, ads, streaming, affiliates, social, and apps, obviously. All of those feed into illegal gambling. Why is streaming on? Illegal streaming is beginning to eclipse referrals of customers from things like search and social media. So when you look at how the audience is changing, things like the Tyson Fury fight, the first one, Fury versus Usyk won in Bay last year, 2024. 20 million illegal streams. To watch one of those illegal streams, you needed to close an average of 16 adverts. Who did all those adverts come from? Illegal gambling companies. Every single one of them. Okay? So for your audience member who feels that he has got a benefit here because he's going to pay $50 to $75 to watch that event, he now feels like he put $20 on it to retire. So that's where we're feeding new issues from here. The audience is being migrated from way more referral mechanisms than we've ever seen before. What we thought was just a problem with affiliates is a problem on a much more widespread basis. There are 8 essentials on that page, okay? There is a light essential that we never put on these slides, but all of you should know it. The money, the money, the money. That's the point here. Where is the money going to? Of yield, second one you need to know about us. Why should you trust us? What the things that we say, why should you believe them? We look at 3 core monitoring things: the audience, their activity, and transactions. Across our analytics processes, identification, what's out there, those ecosystem essentials, for example. Qualification, what are those things doing? Is it a piece of content? Is it a website? Is it an app? Is it an offer on social media? And quantification, how much money is this stuff making and how much is it taken from the legal licensed industry? 3 core reasons why we often call these the 3 C's of YieldSec: commerce, community, users. When you run this business correctly, there is an unalloyed river of good that can come to societies, to consumers, and to the innovation in the industry as well. Our methodology, we're often asked this question about how do you do it. We have a system that's built of military tech, same system that was used to basically stop, define content from groups like Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Al-Shabaab. We adapted that over 3 years with a bunch of technology people, AI and machine learning, to produce something that looked exclusively, initially, at betting, gaming, and lottery marketplaces on that jurisdiction-specific basis. All of the audience, all their activity, all of the time. That's what we're interested in looking for, okay? We count the audience members, how many people are connected, unique human beings, no bots, no spiders. We clock their dwell time and activity, how long did they spend there, which pages did they visit, which pages which is basically closed immediately, which pages that they dwelt on for a long period of time. And we look at everything from above, no data protection breaches, everything is anonymous. We're just looking at audience and where they're spending their time, spending their money. The whole point here is human users only get to a very real perspective of where is the total marketplace view. And you get to that total marketplace by taking legal and legal. So legal plus illegal equals total marketplace understanding. That's what YieldSec does. Let's get into the big part of the numbers here. So this is the exclusive part for ICE this year. It was what we call the Great Illegal Gambling Robbery. In 2023, there was $5.1 trillion wagered. So this is handed, as Americans call it. $5.1 trillion wagered, okay? Across all types of betting. You can see at the bottom there, I'll read some of this out. All forms of illegal online gambling include sports betting, horse racing, casino products, crypto casino products, horse racing, poker and other card games, predictors, which I'll touch upon later as well, daily fantasy sports, social casino, esports betting, skins betting and trading, what sits behind video games for younger players, and fake financial options. Okay? So these are all the products that there are in the world. Across the world, we've got the Americas, high growth, mixture of different regulatory regimes, Africa and Middle East, explosive growth, mainly bans or new regulation, which is a harbinger for bringing in illegal gambling. Europe and the UK, advanced regulation, products being changed by adaptation within those societies. Asia Pacific, absolutely explosive growth and restricted market in the moment. 5.7 trillion was the global value of illegal gambling wagering during 2024. Okay? So that's across all those forms of gambling, that's all the money bet. The world looks like this. 73% of all gambling is illegal. 27% is legal. So we're in a position where more than 2/3 of the business is being run by criminals right now. More than 2/3 of the money that could be coming to our local commerce, local communities, and won by local consumers is being stolen by crime. Why do audiences engage with this? Because much of it is too good to be true that audiences don't know that. And you can't blame them when they cannot distinguish between what's legal and what's illegal. What are the headwinds driving that change? So in the Great Illegal Gambling Robbery, between 2023 and 2024, there are 5-6 major areas here. We have the Copa and the Euros. It's one of those marquee soccer championships years, which more than 2/3 of the world are obsessed with. We'll have the same again in 2026. The Olympics were also last year. That was one of the most bet upon Olympics we've ever seen in online gaming history. Regulation exploitation, another yield set phrase. This is what's going on when you start to take things like age limit changes, deposit limit changes, advertising bans. When those are brought in by regulators, you have to have an understanding of the digital economy dynamics that sit behind it. So what happens is you make a change and something bad happens that you did not foresee, did not anticipate, but it's happening. And we'll touch on that in a moment. Crypto casinos and crypto sports betting is going through the roof at the moment. It's one of the biggest growth products of last year and synonymous with scams at the moment as well. So customers find this stuff on social media, they find it on streaming platforms, but they don't know how to interact with it. And then they feel like they've been ripped off, but who do you go to? Because you dealt with illegal gambling, you have no money coming back to you. Predictive products are absolutely coin toss gambling. It's a 50-50 bet, but it's a new way, new label for gambling. So if you're under 30 years old, particularly if you're in North America or Europe, you are playing predictors. You are not calling them gambling, and neither are the people who are offering them to you. But if you look at any illegal gambling operator, they understand the value of predictor products implicitly. It's not for no reason that they basically put, even in their search engine results on Google, that they are the home of sports betting and predictors. That's how important that product is to them, because it's basically the sports betting by another name. So that's what's driving all the growth. Legal versus illegal, what's success in playing it here? So you are looking at the fundamentals of price, product, and promotion, okay? Legal have to abide by regulations. They cannot engage with illegal streaming content, which is driving a huge amount of false activity. They must pay taxes, which affects what kind of pricing you put out there, and you must abide by jurisdiction-specific legislation. The benefit you have as legal providers is that you have a connection for land-based resorts, as Owen also mentioned this morning. How do you get that start online and live on premises? That if you're moving for audiences and customers in your marketplaces. Illegal gambling, despite the fact they cannot advertise on television, they cannot sponsor the shirts of the football team, for example, they're able to advertise everywhere because they lie. They're not telling anybody they're a gambling company from day one. They certainly aren't telling anybody they're an illegal gambling company. But when they go to Facebook, Google, Instagram, any of the platforms where they advertise, for 28 days when those accounts are being monitored, they're bending the rules. We're selling underwear, we're selling pizzas. On day 29, when the automated moderation generally stops, and most reactions are based on complaints alone, that's when you start changing the URLs, pushing people to new sites, new apps, new destinations, all of which are illegal, okay? So the audience will engage with illegal streaming. They can watch what they want, and they can babble the content immediately too. Unbeatable prices, that's easy when you don't pay taxes, don't pay for any responsible gaming. And you could target in jurisdictions simultaneously. So if you're operating in English language, you could be in the United States, you can be in the UK, you can be Australia and New Zealand. You don't need to care because your product is available everywhere. The only weakness they have is no land-based resorts. So again, let's start thinking about how we join the dots of these two areas. To use an analogy here, the three little pigs. We all heard this analogy, I hope, growing up. So there's the big bad wolf and there's the three little pigs. To avoid the big bad wolf, what do those pigs do? They build houses to protect themselves. Now you can liken this to online gambling marketplaces. So take you're building your house out of straw. Take any US state that does not have gambling regulation right now. Texas, Utah, California. You have built your house of straw, you are going to be eaten by the big bad wolf. When he huffs and puffs, which he does. And 100% of your money has been taken by crime, which is building a house for them. If you license some products, like sports betting in America, a state like New York, you build your house through stakes, because your audience is still betting than everything else. And now you've got a product and you've given the legal industry the ability to set up their marketing, their operations, if giving you some taxes. But what have you done to the marketplace? You've basically taken the legal industry and you've made it a whipping boy for illegals. Because what you've done to it is say, you can make some money on sports betting, for example. But then, when you lose, can't cross-sell the customers to any other product. Can't move into casino, can't move into poker, can't move into lottery callers. You could just stay in sports betting. What do illegals do immediately? We're the one-stop shop, customer convenience location. We will cross-sell you everywhere. In America last quarter, lots of firms had a quarter where the customers won, okay? So they were paying money back to customers. What happens when you win money from a sports betting only website? You refund your money. What happens when you win money from a multi-product illegal operator? You burn your money in the casino. So there's cross-sellability there. So the profitability part of this, it's your money part. Crime is stealing all of your money. Another analogy here at the change account. So taking those bricks, if you build your house from bricks, if you have all of your products in one place, you built your house from bricks, okay? However, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a perfect marketplace for you. So building your house from bricks means, will you have the right operating environment with the regulator and helps you? So right now you've got regulation is required and necessary. However, if you start removing pieces like ad backs, products, cross-sell, deposit limits, and fundamentally taxes, you start changing these things, think about the digital economy dynamics. How do these things work when you have an industry where you have a shadow, an evil twin, a rival, who is constantly stealing your oxygen? Doesn't work the same way, does it? This ability of the legal industry to provide for commerce, community, and consumers only happens where you have a protected marketplace, when you've removed the crime. So what you're seeing here is the more of those bricks you remove, the more unstable that Jenga tower becomes of the legal industry, and the more you build the illegal industry fortress. So all of the stuff that we take away from legal firms without understanding the consequences in the commercial marketplace where there are two industries, one legal and licensed, one illegal and non-licensed, you will continue building this fortress of illegal gambling. Okay? And the point here is, it only exists, this fortress, because we never kicked out the crime at the start of the online business, okay? YieldSec exists because it allows people to kick out the crime any time. Why hasn't the things we've done in the past worked? So on what regulators and police do nowadays, we do things like blocking backpayers. We'll go for blacklisting URLs and ISPs and DNS blocking. Everybody tells us there's great solutions. The problem is we keep focusing on single instance measures. So we think that blocking one website, illegalgambling.com, they're no longer in business. Not true. That site, every illegal gambling site, generally has around 300 to 500 mirrors and redirects behind it. One illegal operator we've been tracking globally and now using what we call a strategy of rolling dynamic URLs. Every time you click a Google link, social media link, you will be sent to a new URL on a unique to the user basis. So they don't care about promoting their brand name anymore. There's no illegalgambling.com that they mention anywhere. It's simply, we're a brand, here's our advertising, here's our social media posts, here's all of our sponsorship of illegal streaming. And where did they learn that rolling dynamic URL strategy from? From illegal streaming. What YieldSec do with all of our clients, we work with all legal stakeholder clients, everybody from legal licensed operators right through to regulators, government treasury teams, trade associations like European Casino Association, health factors, and also law enforcement and police. We look at what we call the chain of enhanced enforcement escalation. So, going after one operator in an offshore jurisdiction like Curacao, okay? Now, I know Curacao is changing its regime at the moment, but generally that's been the home of illegal gambling for the last 30 years, okay? That's why I mentioned that. What does YieldSec do to help you fight illegal gambling? Help every legal stakeholder fight illegal gambling and help you make the money that you should. Look at this on the basis of going after one website is not going to solve your problem, okay? Because they'll just open another one. They have 300 to 500 mirrors of redirects behind every domain they have. So when regulators say things like, what are we going to do about this? They're sure we can't stop them. Don't think about it in those terms. Think about everyone that they rely upon and everyone who relies upon them. That's the point of enhanced enforcement escalation from us. Everyone they work with, everyone they rely upon, the banks, the payment providers, the affiliates, the search engines, the tech platforms, everybody is a partner to their theft. So make everybody aware of their theft and make everybody understand that if you're not helping the legal industry, you're kind of the getaway driver for those guys stealing money. Everybody starts to work with you when you start mentioning to them that there is criminal liability that comes from this, and also, do you really want to be associated with somebody else stealing all that cash? Do you want to be associated with their money laundering, fraud, and crime? And the answer generally is no. People don't want to. Marketplaces are loaded in at the moment. We've been able to remove operators on a weekly basis across tech platforms, across payment providers, across cooperations with the banks. So none of this work is impossible, and that's exactly the vision I had when I set this up at the time. The point of this, move the marketplace evil away from crime and back for the industry, where it belongs, because you only benefit commerce community of consumers when that needle moves. What do we provide our clients? Awareness, what's out there. Ability, what to do about it. Action, what to do right now, next month, next World Cup, next time that there's a growth period from Black Friday through Christmas and New Year. The whole point here is understand what the problems you are that you're dealing with, understand what you need in your marketplace, what your audience needs, what media, politicians, regulators need to hear. Understand that we could create and foster the right collaboration.
Fundamentally, just to touch on why that graphic has all those colors in it. Okay, so we do a thing that we call marketplace mapping. We make the data and show you what the marketplace looks like. So rather than just telling everybody, so much bad out there, the sky is falling. The sky is not falling, from my perspective as the founder and leader of Sec. From my perspective, you have to make this thing change, and you can make it change. That marketplace you're looking at is a marketplace in Europe last year, which was 73% legal, 27% illegal. All of the red and yellow you see, it's almost like a cell of the body that's been infected with cancer. What you're seeing there is basically affiliates from our illegals and the legal operators who have taken over the nice green territory that should be there. The green territory that you pay license fees for, the green territory that you're allowed to make money in, so long as you pay taxes, pay for responsible gaming, and pay for everything else. As I mentioned about the Jenga tower, you will not be able to pay for everything if you're not making the money you should. It is your money, and when every legal stakeholder makes the money they should, that's when this business can provide for commerce, community, and consumers, and then substantial good that can come from this business. Positive, innovative industry. I know it is. I know that I've worked in for 25 years. We need to get rid of the shadow of crime, and that only comes from kicking out crime. I've got time for any questions if anybody wanting to ask it. There'll be a run out of time already. Thank you very much for listening to the Thank you.